Hello everybody, my name is CulBlu. I'm bringing out this video of me talking about some board games, and today I'm going to be going through the Railroad Tiles series. For some reason, I decided to get all of Railroad Tiles and play through all of it. So here I am, I have all of Railroad Tiles. I bought all the expansions separately. I did not get the collector's edition, but my friend at the local game store had them all in stock, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Just light money on fire. Not that I think it was a waste of money, it's a little bit excessive to get everything at once, isn't it? But as far as everything goes, I had the base game of Railroad Tiles, and I have each expansion. And the expansions, there's these 8 expansions, or extensions, whatever you want to call them. I think they're expansions. So expansions. And, let me get my background music started before I forget. Sorry. There we go. Some nice calming music in the background. Slow it down a little bit. There we go. So as far as the Railroad Tiles games go, this game, this is the second game, I don't want to say, it's not the second game from Horrible Guild, but it's the second one in this line. So there's Railroad Inc. If you all know that one, it's a roll and write. You roll some dice, you write down some stuff, or you draw your little pictures and you build your rail line. The Railroad Tiles series is a second coming of that. And between the two, just out front, I prefer Railroad Tiles over Railroad Inc. I like playing Railroad Inc. digitally. Like, I had the app and everything. I love playing it digitally. It's a lot of fun because it kind of quickly just kind of pick your decisions and do your little map and build your map and try to get the challenges. But playing it in person, playing it physically, I prefer to play Railroad Tiles over playing Railroad Inc. So that's just me personally. Moving on from that, we have the expansions here. I've played through the base game plus all the expansions 3 times each. So that's 20, well, if you include this is 9 times 3, so 27 different gameplays. I've done those all stream, and I'm probably gonna do a playthrough of each one on a video. So if you want to see me do that, just stick around, I'll eventually get through it. Just like I did some of the other series that I've done, because for some reason I like playing all the expansions of a game, like Clinic, and I tried Final Girl, but I gave up on that one. But for this one, I have finished playing all my playthroughs, and I do have my favorites. But before we get into all the favorites, let's go and talk about a few things up top. First and foremost, you'll notice that I have the base game box here, and plus all the expansions. These boxes are empty. I have all of my expansions stored in a separate storage solution, because you know me, I love my storage solutions. So of course, I have my storage solution here. So let me just get all these out of the way. There we go. So this is all the boxes here. They are pretty, it's very pretty art. I do appreciate all the pretty art. I was gonna push those over to the side here, just off screen. There we go, yep. Keep going, there we go, perfect. All right, now you can't see those. And what I use to store them is, this is a Gaingenic token silo. Very expensive, I wouldn't recommend using this. This is like a $70 box, just the box itself. Everything else inside of it is a little extra accessories and stuff that I use, but I have a label printer, so I printed some labels so I can let me know that this is the expansion one. I have a few of these lying around. I cannibalized this from a previous game that I had this in. But essentially, you can find a storage solution like this that's similar to this for cheaper on the internets, on the Amazons or your friendly local game store. So what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't advocate buying this specific box, especially if you're gonna get all the expansions and you wanna store it the way I've stored it. I would recommend getting one of the knockoffs, if you will, the knockoff versions that have the same thing, but maybe don't have like the removable top and, you know, the 2 different things. It'll be fine. Just using something similar to this is cool. I just wouldn't recommend this one because $70 is a lot just to store this game. Like I said, I just happen to have this lying around. So I have all my rule books here. I have all of the expansions, and these are in the geek boxes. I think I call it Geek Box. Yeah, Geek Box. I thought it was like Geekbox something. Geekbox Time. Is that geekboxtime.com? Oh, geekboxline.com. That's the website. I'll try to link these things in the description if you really want to find those, but these are perfect. These are the two-sided ones. These come in when you buy them, they come two in a pack, and then like $4 or $5 a piece. Still, again, a little bit pricey just to store all these things. I tried to use a Gaingenic token silo, but it wasn't sufficient to store everything, especially the tiles. But this was perfect because the tiles fit inside of there. But at any rate, outside of just rattling all the pieces, between all the boxes that I have a smaller box so I can hold some of the smaller pieces here for the Canals one. And I have a label printer that I use to label everything, so now I can easily go in there and kind of pull the game out, pull out the expansion that I want to play. So this is what I use for storage, and then all the bags fit over here. So if they come out with any more extensions or expansions, of course I wouldn't be able to fit it all in here, but this all worked out. Anyway, so I bring all this up to say that I stored all of my expansions in their own, or in a main box, but I keep the base game in this box. And it's a little bit frustrating not to be able to store everything in the same box, but on the other hand, this gives me the ability to kind of easily mix and match things. For those who do not know, the Railroad Tiles expansions are not compatible with each other, generally speaking. The only exception to that is the Worlds expansion. The Worlds expansion adds some extra goals and actually some extra scoring conditions that you can do, but it's compatible with every single expansion. But all the expansions will add kind of a different flavor, some different tiles that do not mix well with other expansions. So Horrible Guild, they designed this game to where the expansions are not compatible with each other. It's a little bit frustrating because I was kind of dreaming of doing like a clinic-esque experience where I can kind of take the module from here, mix it with the module from there, mix it with the module from there, kind of have like a whole bunch of customizable games. But the reality of it all is that, nope, that's not how it was designed. So that was a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Anywho, inside of the box, the base game box, you do have just kind of your pieces. Again, I have some storage solution stuff that I use here. These are from Cube for Me. These are from Cube for Me, and oh, hello. Sorry, these are from Cube for Me, and these are, I don't know the exact name of them. I'll put it in the description on the YouTube video in the future if you really want to check them out. But for the most part, yeah, these are perfect, just storing all the pieces that you would use. Again, another Geeks box that I use here to store all the tiles. And these are perfect just to fit all the tiles, and I was happy about that. And the reason why I'm saying all that is because in the box, in both the expansion boxes over here, so each expansion box is literally just an empty box. And inside the base game box is literally just an open box. So as far as everything goes inside of here, these are all just empty boxes. There's no specific storage solution. And oh, sorry, somebody in the chat's asked a question. I'm going to be playing Railroad Tiles, but first I'm going to do a quick review of all the things. So thank you for checking out. Oh, and for those who might be watching this video later on YouTube, I do live stream, or I do try to live stream my recordings. So if you want to check me out live, you can check me out on twitch.tv/CulBlu. That's CULBLU. But otherwise, thank you for watching. And yeah, I'll be here on YouTube too. But continuing on with things, the storage solution that's inside of here is non-existent. So you got to find your own. And I think the general excuse behind that is that they do give you these very nice bags. These bags did come with the base game and all the expansion bags. They had different color bags, easy to tell the difference between each one. And that's been really nice. So I appreciate that they gave a giant bag, but outside of using this, you would be relegated to using plastic bags, which, you know, for me personally, didn't really jive well. I'd rather have, like, you know, storage solutions like this as opposed to plastic bags, but plastic bags are good, I guess. Anyway, I just want to explain why I did all of this over here for that game. But that's in the base game, in the base game box. And let me put all this back here. And I did mention I was going to try to do a review of all of the expansions. Now, I'm not going to do a ton of teaching how to play because this game's very simple. I will do at least a playthrough video of Railroad Tiles, so please check out that video if you want to see the rules on how to play and everything. The expansions, they all add their own slight flavors and changes to how you play, how you score, how you place tiles, and different goals you want to accomplish. So I will say that it has been very different for each expansion, although I can make a strong argument for, I think, 2 of the expansions were basically kind of the same, just in different flavors. So take that how you will. But just to talk about each one, I'm just going to go through not the rule books, but I'm just going to use the rule books as keeping track of which one I'm on and talk about them. So as far as the Canals expansion, actually, before I do that, I would like to tell you which ones I liked the most first. Let me start there. So the expansions that I liked the most, I actually wrote this down, so let me get my notes up here. The expansion I liked the most was definitely Monuments, and let me go back. There we go. Was definitely Monuments. So in the Monuments expansion, one of the things that you can do with this, the thing that this changes, the claim to fame that this adds, is outside of building your map like you would in a normal Railroad Tiles like tile laying game, you also have a pond that you can walk around in at a certain point in the game. And every round you'll be able to walk around and explore or summon, if you will, some monuments that will score you some extra points at the end of the game. I like this one a lot because it allowed me to basically build my map and also walk around my map as I built it. So it kind of felt nice to be like building the world that I'm walking around in. Like, you know, it's kind of like exploring the map as I was building it. And that also influenced how I built my map, because with the movement conditions inside the monuments, you really want to have long runs of streets or long runs of railroads. Again, that'll make more sense once you know how the game is played. I'll have playthrough videos. I'm not going to go through how to play in this video because there's too much to cover. But essentially, it kind of influenced how I built my map. And I liked that dynamic of, you know, I get to walk around my map, but also want to build my map in a way that makes it easier to travel while also achieving the goals that I need to achieve. So that's been really fun. So this one's definitely my top for the expansions. The second one for me is Worlds. So Worlds is the expansion, for those who don't know. Out of the 8 expansions, Worlds is the only one that is compatible with every single other expansion. So as I mentioned before, you can only use each expansion one at a time. So you can play the base game plus one of these expansions, with the exception of Worlds. With Worlds, you can add Worlds plus the base game plus any other expansion, and you'll be able to play it just fine. So that's pretty nice. But Worlds is nice because it gives you new goals. Base game goals, essentially. It gives you new pawns, base game tokens, base game, what's the word it uses? Pinpoint? I don't know, what's the word it uses? Let me see. I guess it doesn't use a word. These little wooden pieces that it gives you new wooden pieces that give you a slightly different scoring or slightly different ways that they play. So that's been really nice, and it basically gives you a lot of variety to change out the base game. Given that I played this game effectively 27 times, which 3 of those being the base game and then the expansions for everything else, I played every single one that I did with 2 of the goals from the base game, which there are 7 goals. So 2 of the goals from the base game plus 1 from the expansion. And then I just rotate the expansion once per playthrough, because each expansion has 3 goals that are unique to the expansion. So that goes a long way to say that by the time I got to Worlds, because I did these in alphabetical order, I was pretty well familiar with all the base game goal tiles, and it was getting a little bit stale, and it was really nice and refreshing to have the world ones to kind of shift it up and change it up. So I appreciate it greatly because it gave me a lot more to kind of add to the game. I kind of wish I would have started with Worlds and then just incorporated it inside of my playthroughs of all the other expansions, but that's not the world that I lived in. So that's not the one I did. So if you're looking for the expansions to get, I would say, if anything, get Worlds. Even if you just get the base game plus Worlds and do nothing else, that's good enough. The base game is about $35 MSRP, $40 MSRP, and the expansions are $20 or $15 to $20 MSRP. I think $20 MSRP, but $15 is what I paid for mine. So that's about $45, $50, $60, whatever that adds to, $60. And you get a lot of variety. You get a lot of playthrough. You get a lot of things that you can do to kind of change up your game, customize your game. So I'd recommend just at least those 2 if you're looking for just where to start, because there are a lot of expansions. Anyway, all right, moving on to my next expansion. My third favorite expansion was Countrysides. So the Countryside expansion essentially allows you to add in a extra scoring mechanism to where you're putting animals on pastures, on barns, and the way the pastures are connected determines how many points they get. So generally speaking, with the scoring and railroad tiles, when you place there's a certain time where you get to place a token on the map. And when you place that token on the map, depending on how many other tokens are in that same section, you'll get more points. So if I place one person token in a specific area, he'll be worth 1 point if he's the only one by himself. But if there was previously another person on that same route, then it'll be worth 2 points. And if there were 2 other people, he'll be worth 3 points, and so on and so forth. So that goes a long way to say that the Countryside uses that same idea, but it uses it for a different side of scoring. We're using animals, and that's been a lot of fun. It's a very interesting puzzle because you want to basically make it to where your pastures are all connected, and you're also kind of putting the same animals, but the animals are randomized, and it's 4 different type of animals. There's sheep, pigs, cows. No, 3 different type of animals: sheep, pigs, cows, and yeah, sheep, pig, and cow. And they all score in the same way, and it's just nice. It just felt good. It was like a nice thinky puzzle. It didn't make it too complicated. It wasn't too many extra steps. It was a little bit of extra setup for each round, but you're drawing one extra thing to add to the selection. So there you go. All right. So those are my top 3. I'm gonna go ahead and go through the rest of them since this is a great way for me to talk about all the expansions. My apologies that this is not in alphabetical order, but I'm speaking of them in the order that I enjoyed them. Next up is going to be the Canals expansion. So the Canals expansion, and I'm also gonna throw the Desert expansion at the same time because they can both flip-flop positions for me personally. The Canals expansion basically allows you to build a map. And again, I'm gonna try to do a playthrough of every single one of these in separate videos. So whenever I do finish out in the future, I'll try to link those playthroughs in the description. So if you wanna see a specific playthrough, feel free to check those out. But for right now, I'm just talking about them, I'm not showing them. So my apologies for those who might be trying to look for a one-stop shop video. But for the Canals and for the Desert, they basically give you another scoring condition. The Canals give you kind of a canal that you can build, a moat type thing. And that allows you to put different boats on the lake or gondolas on the lake. And there's also bridges, and you score points based on bridges. So you want more bridges, which basically bridge your connection from your road to over the water to another spot. And it encourages you to kind of build in a more tighter area. And I kind of appreciate that, especially since it was the first expansion that I played with. But ultimately, it just kind of added another scoring condition. And like I said, it didn't change things up too much. It wasn't too disruptive. It was still nice. And the board looked really pretty afterwards. For the Desert expansion, similar idea. It didn't look as pretty as Canals, but similar idea is that it added another scoring condition. There was a set collection aspect to it. With the desert tiles and monuments, or not monuments, landmarks that were inside the desert. So that was pretty fun. But for the most part, these two could be, tied for 4th place for me. But if I had to put them in position, Canals is more fun than Deserts for me personally. So overall, I can kind of, I guess if I had to pick one, I'd pick Canals because I feel like Deserts gave you a little bit too much of an out, as in it removed or made it harder to score negative points from unfinished routes. So that made it a little bit easier to score a high score in Deserts, whereas Canals, it didn't give you that benefit. So I guess Canals was more challenging, so I'll give it the win in this case. I talked about Desert just now, so my next one is gonna be Forest. So I think Forest is very pretty. I don't think it added a ton. I think it was just it was nice to look at. It didn't add a ton. It gave you another scoring condition. Instead of having just cities that you scored, you can also score forests too. And that was fun, that was cool, but for the most part, it looked really pretty. But otherwise, it wasn't too impressive. The 7th place for me is going to be Energy. And Energy is by far the most puzzly of all the expansions. So if you want an expansion and you want just like the ultimate puzzle, you just want like a super thinky, you gotta sit down and kind of plan out this and this, you gotta hope that you get these draws, and you gotta make sure that you plan your routes and everything. Energy is your expansion. This one made the game the hardest, with air quotes. Although when I say the hardest, I don't really mean it made it super ultra difficult. I mean, like, if I had to rate this game on a scale of difficulty with 1 to 10, with 1 being apples and apples and 10 being Twilight Imperium, although Twilight Imperium is not that hard of a game, it's just a long game. I would say this is like a solid 4, and this expansion brings it to like a solid 4.5 in difficulty. So it's pretty low, is what I'm saying. Pretty low on the scale of difficulty from my own personal perspective here. But the Energy expansion does give it a lot of extra puzzle. It gives it too much puzzle for my liking, as in when I sit down and play this game, I kind of feel like it should be a little bit more straightforward with the flow. Kind of similar to like a River Valley Glassworkers. There you go. Sorry, man, words are hard. Kind of like River Valley Glassworkers. I kind of just want it to flow. And I feel like Energy kind of interrupts the flow because you're spending so much time planning where you're trying to connect your power lines. So as a result of that, it scores low on my list. Although if I did need to only have 2 expansions and I wanted to have the most replayability from my game, I think Energy and Worlds would be the 2 that I would pick. So though it's low on my list, I do still think it's a good showing. It's just for what I was expecting or what I was wanting out of the game, it's not enough for me. All right, and then finally Lakes. Lakes is last because it wasn't that impressive. I feel like Lakes was trying to do what Deserts did better. It looked okay. It's just, I don't have much else to say. In Lakes, you have these lake tiles that basically kind of add as a way to split up things, and you can have boats that are inside the lake, and you can do lake things, and I don't know. It didn't feel too good. It didn't interrupt the flow of the game. It didn't feel I didn't feel like it was doing anything that the other expansions did better. Like, I would make the argument that Lakes was doing more to kind of detract from the game with how much they were breaking up the flow of the map. Whereas something like Forest, at least it looks pretty. Energy, at least is giving you a puzzle to do. Lakes was just kind of meh. I think if you're looking for any single expansion to skip, in my humble opinion, Lakes is the one to skip. I would also make the strong argument that if you're looking for any other expansion to skip, the second most likely one to skip would be Forest. And again, I know my ranking is showing that I put Forest above Energy. I just think that skippability, Forest and Lakes, those are the two skippable. Unless you really want a pretty game, then I guess Forest is a good one to go for. Okay, all right, there we go. So that's all my ratings there. That's my ranking, my personal ranking of all the games. Essentially, Monuments and Worlds will be the two that I would recommend for my personal liking. But I also like open world games. I also like walking around the map. I also like doing stuff on the map. And I feel like Monuments added some extra mechanics that were a lot of fun for me personally. And I guess I should have said this at the beginning. I did play all these solo, so I don't know how things would change if I played a multiplayer. I don't think that would change much because you're kind of playing a solo multiplayer game anyway. Except for maybe your opponent takes the tiles you wanted. That's really it. But outside of that, Countryside I think added is my candidate, my personal candidate for the puzzliness. You could conceivably swap Countryside with Energy and then skip the rest of these four. So honestly, yeah, though I put Canals above, again, though I put Canals, Forests, and Deserts above Energy, if you want to find which ones to skip, you can skip these four. Because these four, they make the game look pretty. They don't add a ton else. These ones, I think, give the game the most like addition of stuff. Addition of mechanics, change the game up, make it a little bit more interesting, give you a little bit more to do. I think these would be my four to go for. With Monuments being you can walk around, World giving you more variety in the base game goals, Countryside giving you another kind of a puzzle to do when you're trying to score and get sets, and then Energy giving you like a map to kind of connect. So there you go. All right, cool. So that is me talking about Railroad Tiles. Now, as far as the base game, I think the base game is pretty strong by itself. I do think it is helped out greatly, of course, by having Worlds, because it gives you more to do. So if you're really trying to pinch those pennies and you really want to just try the game out and you want to see how it goes and see what it gives you, I think the best showing, the best combination is going to be Railroad Tiles plus Worlds. It won't change the game mechanically and it won't give you anything specific, but it will just give you a lot of the base game. And I think the base game has very strong bones. Railroad Inc., again, I said at the beginning, I prefer Railroad Tiles over Railroad Inc., but Railroad Inc. is still a very solid game. I like the fact that Railroad Tiles turns Railroad Inc. into basically like the Carcassonne version of it. And I like Carcassonne too. Of all the evergreen games that exist, Carcassonne is the one that I will feel that I actually like, I should say. And when I say evergreen, I'm referring to the Ticket to Rides, the Catans, those style games. Carcassonne is the only one that I think I like. So that goes a long way to say that Railroad Tiles basically Carcassonnifies, is that a word? Carcassonnifies Railroad Inc. And I appreciate that greatly. Less having to deal with a dry erase marker, less having to fight with things getting erased on accident, less dice rolls because the tiles are kind of, you know, deterministic. Deterministic is the wrong word. You know that a certain number of tiles exist, whereas the dice rolls, you could just get, you know, screwed over by not getting the dice faces you want. So anyway, okay, all right. So I think I've rambled on enough. Yeah, that's a good place to kind of close out the video. So please let me know which ones you all think might be the best for you, and let me know what you all feel about the videos. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here, but be on the lookout for my other videos to where I'll be doing playthroughs. I'll be doing at least one playthrough of each one. That's the plan. We'll see how that goes. It might take me a while. I don't know, but each game lasts about 30 minutes, so it shouldn't take a super long time. So I'm gonna start with the base game and then work my way through these alphabetically, so that way it's a little bit less chaotic. And yeah, we'll go from there. So thank you all very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. And as always, I will see you all whenever.